Yeah, yeah, I know I'm pretty late to this, but I've been wanting to play Kaze in the Wild Mass for a while now. I actually haven't seen this game in action, but there's just something about that just appealed to me. Maybe it was the art covers, I don't know. It just kind of had some kind of flair to me. And people have been saying how great this game was and how it brings back a lot of 90s style platforming. Alright, let's play this game. Okay, so far the game looks pretty good and... Oh. 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 Okay, so that's why there's so much praise for this game. So apparently this is supposed to be a modern version of the first three Donkey Kong Country games, specifically two. I had never played a DKC game before, but it's pretty obvious that there's a lot of inspiration from those games. I mean, it's not even subtle, and just to be clear, I don't mean it as a bad thing. The developers behind this game is Pixel-hive, a Brazilian development studio, and after trying to look into what other games they did in the past, it looks like this was their first game. Apparently, Kaze in the Wild Mass was in development for over 5 years, and it was under the code name of Project Bunny. The developers wanted to make an experience that emulates games from the 16-bit era, like Super Mario World, Sonic, and mainly Donkey Kong Country. They wanted it to be unique and give it a modern feel to it, like higher quality pixel textures. I don't usually start with graphics first, but I love this game's art style. This game's environments are really colorful and easy on the eyes. I also really love the little animated motion pictures because they just pack a lot of charm to them, and there's a lot of care put into it too. I also love the enemy designs for these guys. Like, look at the carrots right here. I mean, it's kind of scary, but it's also hilarious. Also, the idle animations with Kaze. Like here, when she's about to fall asleep, she uses her ears to rub her eyes. Like, that's great attention to detail. And I really like how when you spam square over and over again, she just does this floor jump, and this run cycle too. I could just watch her do this all day. I really like when you're running through different stages, the backgrounds change to match the level themes. I really like the pixel art style that a lot of indie developers go for, and the soundtrack slaps pretty hard too. I mean, the title screen music is literally this. Every song in this game goes along well with the levels, and they have great beats to them too. I honestly might buy the soundtrack for this game, it's really that good, but I'm not gonna be talking about this game's graphics soundtrack. Let's dive into Kaze and the Wild Mask. Okay, so there's not really much of a story for this game. Like the games that it's emulating, the story isn't really the primary focus of the game. Kaze and her friend Hogo are walking into this ancient cave and find this glowing ring. Kaze touches the ring and it gets knocked unconscious, then Hogo's spirit gets sucked inside of the ring. Kaze wakes up and then this entity makes the cave collapse. Hogo's soul, I think, creates a shield around Kaze, taking her out of the cave and landing her on the island. So now Kaze has to save her friend and the rest of the animals from vegetables. Kaze doesn't really have a deep story. You have two friends who walk into a temple. One friend gets stuck and the other friend has to save them. It's a decent setup to get the player to want to play the game, but a game like this doesn't really need a deep narrative, to be honest. Before I start, you guys might see a little bit of choppy footage and some slowdown occasionally. I'm not sure why, but OBS just doesn't like this game, because when I'm not recording, the game runs perfectly fine. I try to downscale the quality to make OBS run better, which is why the footage in my first playthrough looks kind of pixelated. I'm not sure if it's just my PC or the game, but if you're planning on getting the Steam version of Kaze and the Wild Mask, then make sure that nothing else is running in the background for a smoother experience. Unless you have the specs to do so, then go for it. Anyway, like I said before, this game is pretty much as if Donkey Kong Country 4 was made today. I mean, Kaze herself is pretty much Dixie Kong. She can even use her ears to levitate for a little bit, like how Dixie Kong can use her ponytail to levitate. Anyway, Kaze has a pretty simple control scheme. She can jump, ground slam, hover, do the spin attack, that also doubles your speed, and swim. Okay, not really swimming, she just kinda doggy paddles, and it can die for about like 2 to 3 seconds before coming back up. Unlike the Kongs, Kaze doesn't go from 0 to 100 instantly. She builds up more speed as she runs, kinda like a Sonic game, which, being a Sonic fan, I really like because it leads to some pretty fun momentum-based platforming, and it feels good to keep the flow going when you're good enough. Kaze can also pick up items and throw them back at enemies, and there's something so satisfying about just picking up a pot and then throwing it at someone. Fuck you, yeah! When Kaze bounces off of enemies, she does the roll move like the Kongs, which is pretty cool for her momentum, but I don't really like how you can't do anything while you're in that rolling animation. I died a lot of times just because I keep on forgetting that I can't jump or hover, leading me to fall to my death like a goddamn fool. I have a lot of muscle memory issues because I play a lot of platformers that have their characters do double jumps, and I keep on pressing the jump and twice to pull off a double jump, but because I can't double jump in this game, so I just end up dying instead. And it's also the fact that I'm playing the PC version of this game with a PS4 controller, and since Steam usually has Xbox button layouts for their games, every time they tell me to press X, my mind immediately told me to press the PlayStation symbol X and not square, so that took me a while to get used to, but it was nothing terrible though. That's just what bothers me personally. If you know how DKC games work, or if you're just an Xbox only person, then you have nothing to worry about, the game controls fine. As you progress through these levels, you can find these big statues that give you power-ups. These are where the masks come in. The first one you get is the bird mask. You can fly places and attack enemies with this projectile, which is the most inaccurate thing in the entire game, because I almost never connect with this attack. I swear you have to be at point blank range to hit someone with this, but besides that, I like this mask. The flying is pretty useful, and platforming can get pretty tough sometimes. Then there's the shark mask. It lets Kaze swim and attack enemies like a drill. This is one of the best masks in the game because the swimming controls feel great, Kaze moves fast and fluidly, and they don't get in the way of anything. I also like the drill attack that it has. It's pretty useful for the enemies that are blocking the way. I say the shark mask is the second best mask in the game, but the best mask in general is the tiger mask. With this mask, this game goes from Donkey Kong Country to Mega Man X, since you can dash and scale up walls to find secrets. You can also dash through a trail of enemies to keep the flow going. This is my favorite mask of the game because there's a lot of fun in just dashing through obstacles and clinging onto walls to get to other areas. It's all good fun. Just make sure that whenever you're clinging onto a wall, don't press the D-pad in any other direction except for the one that you're in, because I died a couple of times because of that. Then there's a snake mask, which makes the stage an auto runner, which I'm a little bit split about. I don't really like how with this mask you only have one chance of getting collectibles unless you die or start from the beginning again. But at the same time, I kind of like how it forces you to rely on your reflexes and muscle memories to get yourself through this. But I really hate that feeling when you're doing so good, but then you make one mistimed jump, then you slam face first into something or die. Like, it really sucks when that happens. While Kaze is wearing this mask, she can also double jump and do his powerful slam attack, which is pretty cool. But why only have these abilities locked behind a power-up? It just seems kind of weird to me. Anyway, the masks in this game are pretty fun to control and don't feel gimmicky and don't get in the way of everything. They don't feel shoehorned in, and it feels great that the game doesn't try to force the mask on you either. The levels in this game are separated into 4 worlds, with 9 levels in each of them, and then being ended off with a boss battle. In every level, you find one of the 3 collectibles, one of them being the crystals, which are everywhere. You get crystals from the ground and get them from hearts too. You need 100 of them for each level for 100%, but sometimes it's not really easy to get 100 of them, at least on your first run. Whenever the game told me that I'm off by 1 crystal, I die a little bit inside. It kinda gives me flashbacks to every time I miss 1 box in a Crash game. When you're going for them on your second run, they're a little bit easier since you're more experienced. I mean, I completely missed all the crystals in 1 level, and I got an achievement for it. Kinda reminds me of that blue gem in Crash 2. Why are there so many Crash comparisons in this video? Next is the green diamonds. These ones you have to keep a closer eye out for because they're pretty hidden. I would say maybe even too hidden. I mean, some of them are pretty clever, like some things you can catch in the corner, like being hidden behind the foreground and right at the end of the stage. But some of them I just found by complete fucking accident, like here when I was about to die. Or this one right here when I just noticed a path up there and I just wanted to see what it was. And anyway, when you find one of the green gems, you enter a bonus stage where you have to do some kind of challenge. Either getting to the end of the stage, defeating the number of enemies, or collecting smaller green emeralds. Once you complete them, you get half of that emerald. The last collectibles are the Kaze tokens, and they're basically just the Kong tokens from the DKC games. Anyway, they're scattered across each level. There's 4 of them in total, and they all spell out Kaze. You got all of them in each level, and you unlock some concept art that explains some of the lore around this game a little bit. Out of all the collectibles, I think these are my favorites, since it was the only one that I got all of when I finished the game. They're pretty fun to collect since they were hidden in pretty clever places. I remember in one level where I missed the K letter and I always saw the A first, and I was thinking, oh, that's weird. Where's the K token at? Then when I played this level again, I realized that it's on the left side of the start of the level. Like, that's great. Like, I mean, it's annoying, but like that's pretty cool. The level design in this game is pretty good, and while it borrows a lot from Donkey Kong Country, like the gears are basically just the barrels, or even some of the masks, like the snake mask, which just mirrors the minecart sections from some of the older games. But there's also some pretty unique level styles that this game has, like in the secret level that you can unlock. Whenever you get somewhere in a world, you might find a level that you can't access yet. That's where the green diamonds come in. Once you collect all green diamonds in every level in that world, you unlock a secret level that has their own crystals to get and counts as one of the main levels, and also has their own creative level designs. For example, the first secret stage has all the platforms 12 from the start. You have to find out where the rest of them are by relying on graphical details. It might sound cheap in concept, but I feel like the game does a pretty good job on guiding you on where the platforms are, because there's always something to show that there's a platform there. I like how there's always rope floating around so you know that there's a platform, or seeing where enemy projectiles stop. It's a great idea, and the execution of it was amazing. It was a fun level too. Then there's this level where all you're doing is just dashing and clinging onto walls. Then there's the final level, which is just this, and I somehow managed to do it all without dying. What? Ah! Fuck! I was so close to getting a no damage run. Alright, you can do levels without getting hit and get a no damage run medal, which doesn't add to your completion percentage, but you do get achievements for doing a no damage run in every level. When you come back to a level that you already beat, you can see a purple clock appear. These are the time trials, where you try to beat the level as fast as you can. If you do it fast enough, you can get a gold medal for your fastest time. It's basically like the timer looks from Crash 3, but unlike that game, the medals don't really count towards your completion percentage, but you can still get an achievement for getting 10 medals and getting them all. When I finished this game, I had about like 20 achievements, so I don't really have a long way to go. I like how this game has vibration feedback on PS4 controllers, and I'm assuming that it's the same thing with Xbox controllers too, but I feel like they kind of went too far with it, because this game vibrates on everything, like bouncing on enemies, getting hit, events that happen in-game. There's even vibrations when you get animal masks, and to be fair, I kind of understand that. But every time I get an animal transformation, if I lay it down, my controller vibrates so hard that it starts moving on its own like a goddamn dildo. After playing Ocarina of Time, I was kind of surprised to see that this game was pretty short. It took me about like 4 to 5 hours to beat this game on a casual run, and 9.5 hours to beat it at 100%. But maybe it's a good thing that this game is relatively short, because it doesn't take long for this game to start testing your skills. This game can get pretty hard sometimes, and don't worry, it's not like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, but this game can still get pretty tough, mainly in the second half of the game. But I feel like once you get used to how the platforming works in this game, you'll get better the more you play the game. Before you start a new save file, you have an option to choose between casual or original mode. You don't have lives in either mode, but in original mode, you only have 1 hit point and 1 checkpoint per level. If you don't want to get your ass handed to you, you could just try casual mode first, where you have an extra hit point and more checkpoints. It's recommended for first time players. It's cool that there's an option for this, so you don't want people to be spoiled by an easy difficulty, but at the same time not scare off new players with a difficulty spike that's too much for them. The game might be hard, but it's definitely a fun kind of hard. It has a lot of tough but fair challenge, and it never feels cheap either. I never had any experiences where you couldn't get past something without getting hit, and almost all of my deaths were my fault and not because of something that was too bullshit hard to get past. In fact, I actually tried out original mode just for this video, and I don't know if it's just because that I have good muscle memory or because I didn't try to go for 100% in this playthrough. But I didn't really find original mode any harder than casual mode, to be honest. I even beat it faster than I did on casual mode too. That's probably just because I have more experience with this game now. I think all that's left to talk about now is the boss fights. The boss fights in this game start out pretty lackluster, with the first boss having pretty basic patterns to dodge, but then it starts ramping up with the second boss fight, and its patterns aren't too hard to dodge, but I just get really tense whenever I have to shoot the enemy while dodging the fireballs. Then we get to this boss right here, where we have to use a Tiger Mask to beat him, and they really want you to master the Tiger Mask too. This guy's patterns are really hard to follow for the first time. This guy was beating the shit out of me on my first playthrough, and I really hate the feeling you get when you do so good, but then you make one mistake and then you die and have to start from the beginning again. But on original mode, I beat this boss on my second try. I even got the no damage crown too. But now we have the final boss, and it's the best boss in the game. It has you going through multiple phases and using all the animal masks. The platforming is great, the music goes along with the mood, and all ends up with the final phase with the tiger mask. It's all great stuff. The only thing I don't like about this boss is— no, wait! Yeah, it's one of those bosses with a lot of phases where you die at any part of it, you have to start from the beginning. I hate when bosses do that. But this is where OBS has a mental breakdown because they're stuttering everywhere and slow down. This is the only part of the game where it's consistently bad, and again, it's probably not my PC because when I'm playing without recording, it's perfectly fine, so I'm just thinking that it's OBS just fucking with me. When you beat the final boss, this is where the multiple endings come in. If you don't get all the crystals, you get the ending where Hogo just stays as a wisp. I mean, if this is supposed to be a bad ending, I don't really see how it's supposed to be that way. But if you collected all the crystals when you beat the final boss, you get the true ending with Hobo getting his body back and him and Kaze being reunited again. Still, I don't really know how the other ending would be considered a bad one since the two of them still stay together. I mean, yeah, the good ending's more heartwarming, but I don't really get why the ending without all the crystals would be a bad ending though. I know I'm probably reading too much into it, but I don't know, I just feel like I'm missing something here. Overall, I had a lot of fun with Kaze and the Wild Mask. I never played a DKC game before, but after playing this game, I might get into the series sometime. The platforming is pretty fun, the collectibles are pretty good, and the game looks and sounds amazing too. If you're a fan of Donkey Kong Country and are looking for a game that plays like it and at $20 and is scrolling through Steam, check this game out. If someone like me who has no experience with the games that it's emulating at all, I'm sure DKC fans will get a kick out of it too. There's a lot of DKC influence, but it has enough of its own identity to stand up by itself. Make sure to give Pixel-hive some love and support, and show them that we want more from them, and hopefully it will lead to them making some more IPs in other games too. I really hope this game gets a sequel because there's a lot of stuff that they could add. I also feel like that this game could benefit from some DLC, like having more animal masks, or maybe even a new secret world. I'd be down for that. And while I know I said that a game like this doesn't really need a deep story, but it will be pretty cool if they dive more into the lore in this game, or maybe even have some more world building too. Well, I got this video done way quicker than I thought it would, especially with the gap between the Sonic Heroes video and the Ocarina of Time review. So the marathon poll is still going on, and I decided to end on July 18th instead because I thought you guys would be waiting even longer for me to do videos on the franchise that wins. So far, Sly Cooper is winning right now, but if you didn't get a chance to cast your vote yet, the link to the poll is in the description and in the pinned comment, just for the people who don't read the description. Remember, votes in the comments don't count. You have to vote on the poll or else I won't take it into account. For the next video, we're going to be looking at a game that came out about like 2 months ago, KO the Kangaroo, and the 2019 PC re-release of KO the Kangaroo Round 2. I hope you guys look forward to that, and I hope you guys give Kaze and the Wild Master a chance. With all that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.